I want to add to the discussion as well the impact that the business community have, and I think that's something that other states can learn from us. We have a very engaged business community in Utah. They're very informed, and if you look at some of the things that we're most proud of as a community, let's look at our rail network. We put in 70 miles of rail in 7 years, and a lot of people contributed to that. But the ballot initiative that paid for that was led through the Salt Lake Chamber, the state's largest business association. So they campaigned to get it on the ballot, then they raised all the money to go take it to the public, and then it happened. And that's an example. Usually a business community would be against a tax increase during a time of prosperity and surplus, which it was. Mm-hmm. And yet the business community saw a window to do something great to help our state, and they made it happen. One other example, we've mentioned the immigration legislation and immigration reform in this state. The Utah Compact, which has been so heralded as a document that helped bring this community together, that was crafted within the walls of a business association. So business communities aren't perfect, and you may disagree with them in some places, but and Envision Utah, by the way, would be the same, wouldn't it, Ralph, that the business community helped support that. So if you have an engaged and informed business community, you can make good things happen.
Say more about Utah Compact for those who are listening from out of state.
Sure. It's 5 principles to guide an immigration discussion, and we're thinking it was about in 2006, if our numbers are about right. Sorry, 2010, excuse me. I was going 6 years ago. And you can go to utahcompact.com and see it, but
Thank you.
But it represented the things that people care about in this community when it comes to immigration.
Ralph, you wanted to add a word, and I'd like to hear somebody with a kind of a blue background talk about how you feel about this pinkish hue.
Well, if there's one thing that it teaches those of us who are in the political minority, it is that you do not get things done alone. In a state where there's a conservative majority. And when you're at the local level, I was in the state legislature for 11 years, and President Niederhauer's, there was always an example of including people and bringing people in. But when you're in the minority, you do not set the agenda. You look for opportunities to try to influence outcomes. And you do your best to be a voice that you think needs to be well represented, and that reflects you and people you represent. But I guess I would say that part of it is having a state be respectful of local governments. It is a mantra in the Republican Party. We believe in states, we believe in local decision making, but we find the same thing at the local level. If we do something that is contrary to the prevailing view at the state level, every time that someone at the state, and fortunately in my time in office, it seldom was successful, wants to overturn the local decision making. Well, this is nothing new to all of us in Utah, but Salt Lake City is very different than the rest of the state politically, and our values and our population, our demographics. And I can tell you, and Ben McAdams, who is now the county mayor, who worked with me, and our whole team, from the beginning we took on an issue that we knew was important and maybe would be groundbreaking for the state and even for the city. We factored in, how are we going to deal with folks at the state trying to overturn what is important to us and represents an important value for us? And the only way I can tell you we were able to do it was by going to people like President Niederhauser and others from the very beginning of the conversation and saying, look, this is going to be controversial. Here is what we are trying to do and why we're trying to do it. We want you to respect us in terms of it being what our community wants. And we want to hear what you believe. And we'll try to come up with something that hopefully can withstand your scrutiny and those who find abhorrent what Salt Lake City wants to do. Just like some people at the national level find it abhorrent what the state of Utah wants to do, right? But you know what? We were able to, in almost all cases, do that. But it is hard work, and it is painstakingly slow. But that's at least sort of a key to the way we were able to kind of weave our way through what we knew was really important in terms of the values and objectives of our community in respecting people and achieving an environmental protection in giving people greater opportunities, whether they were kids or people who are disadvantaged or refugees.